Yes, folks, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. You know, as time passes, I'm starting to look more and more like bloody Guy Fawkes' grandfather, don't you think? Anyway, please do like and subscribe. It's down there, yeah? And you can see a link to my book, which is on Amazon, by the way. And it's doing quite well, actually. And a couple of my other interviews with James English and Sean Atwood. I'm going to talk today about the forthcoming decision of the Parole Board concerning the potential release of the killer of James Bulger, or one of the killers of James Bulger, a man who is a man now, whose original name was John Venables, whose new name we're not allowed to know, because when he gets released he will be anonymous, so he can fit into society. However, he's trying to fit into society previously, and the last time he was released in 2017, he was rearrested and returned to prison for, I believe he was indulging himself in pornographic images of children. So he's obviously a twisted, perverted little bastard, despite the fact that he's a man. Anyway, the decision of the Parole Board has not as yet been announced, because they're delaying the decision for reasons best known to themselves, and they haven't announced whether or not they're going to release him into our midst, the people of Great Britain. Yeah. We won't know where he is, folks. I mean, they'll know, because obviously they're checking on him, and they've whipped him back into prison twice, because he was previously released in 2010. And he was taken back to prison then. His partner in crime was released some time ago, and apparently, using a complete new identity, has managed to rehabilitate himself and become a productive member of society. And rehabilitation has to be the key. Of course, when you've murdered some little child at the age, was it 2 years old, when you tortured and killed him at the side of a railway track, it's just a little bit difficult to get rehabilitated, isn't it? And of course, in the next phase of your life, in the next dimension, what rehabilitation awaits there? Makes one wonder. I'm a great believer in eternal life, and I'm a great believer in karma. So you've got my take on that now. Yeah, so John Venables, the decision for John Venables to be released or not is yet to come. They were supposed to be releasing because they had the parole hearing in the middle of November, which was not held in public, because there was demand for it to be held in public. So the parents of the 2-year-old child, James Bulger, who was murdered by John Venables and his assistant when he was 2 years old, they weren't allowed to attend. I think that they really should, because I feel, that they should have some say in what happens to the future of the people who terminated the life of their child. I believe so. I mean, there's no point in seeking retribution, but at least the parents should have their say. I believe that, yeah. But news today, and I've been rattling on a long time about the pointlessness, the absolute ridiculousness of sending people to prison for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. It's just pointless. Anyway, there has been a decision today. I believe it's by the Ministry of Justice, the Home Office, and the sentencing group that decides on advising magistrates. And they're now decided that they're going to advise that the magistrates do not impose minor sentences of like 3, 6, 9, 12 months and aim at rehabilitation, which is absolutely right. And I believe that people should, for minor offences, I mean not for major offences, you're going to have to deal with that. I believe that people should be sentenced. Give me a sec, let me get rid of this. Yeah, there we go, I got rid of that. I believe that people should be sentenced to 3 years, and it should be like a program of rehabilitation whereby if they've got any problems socialising or fitting into society, those issues are dealt with by the government inside secure accommodation for 3 years. And at the end of the 3 years, they're released into society and assisted into fitting back in, getting a job, and it works. My own daughter is a social worker, and she actually assists people who are coming out of prison and people who are coming out of long-term care, and gets them jobs, finds them accommodation, and assists them into fitting back into society. That's the way forward, isn't it? Yeah, not this nonsense where you open the prison gates after they've been in for 6 months and they're thrown out with 35 quid in their pocket. They've lost the family, lost the job, lost the home, very likely lost the driving licence. They're in debt. They've not paid anybody their funds. If they've got credit card debts, they've just been escalating while they've been inside, and there's just bigger problems waiting for them when they walk through the gates. So that's an utter nonsense, and congratulations to the Home Office and the Ministry of Justice and the Sentencing Unit for actually waking up, smelling the coffee, and realising that that is not serving society. It's a form of petty retribution, and that is not helping the individual, and it's not helping the rest of us, because what we have is society being flooded with ex-prisoners who have got nowhere to live, no job, and no prospects. So what do? Well, according to statistics, a good 60 to 70% of them are returning to crime, and the recidivism rate is a ridiculous 60+%. How is that serving society? It isn't. Congratulations to whoever at the Home Office has woken up, smiled the coffee, and realised that it's time to do something proper about this. Now, what they need to do is to set about working on the answer within the restricted confines of the prison system. They've got to set up what I would say is a form of like a social university within the confines of the prison walls. And when people go in, they start with a full assessment, maybe take a month to assess the needs. Are they illiterate? Are they illiterate? Are they numerate? Are they innumerate? And find out exactly how to help them to rehabilitate themselves into society. Because this should not be about retribution for the majority of offences. For certain offences, people have excluded themselves for an exceedingly great length of time, and we need to have what Lord Mountbatten in his report of 1968 called a vector, a massive, strong prison from which they aren't escaping. Now, it's perfectly possible to do this, and I believe it should be done. What they've done, if you look at Dubai and Saudi Arabia and that area, they're building islands, aren't they? Building islands. They build an island, a massive prison on top of the island, out in the North Sea. I don't know, maybe a mile out to coast. It's not particularly deep. And they can build an island there, put a massive, great, purpose-built prison on there, and have it staffed mainly by robotics and artificial intelligence, with a number of strong staff there to deal with any attempts at insurrection. And that is how to deal with the people who are in long-term imprisonment. You can't, at that early stage in their time, rehabilitate them. There's going to be an attempt to actually do this, possibly through things like the Open University or courses within the prison, but certainly they should not be given any opportunity to escape. And because they're going to be at least a mile offshore, the idea of them smuggling drugs in is going to be very difficult. And how do you staff it? 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And pay the staff, because it's a very dangerous job, a proper wage, £40,000-50,000 a year. And if they're only working 2 weeks out of a month, they are going to have people wanting to do that job. Whereas at the moment, they don't want anybody to do that job. Anyway, that's my rant for today. Tales from the Jails. I'm going to read you a poem now. I'm not going to sing to you. I was going to sing to you, you know. I was going to sing, trailers for sale or rent, rooms to let 50 cents, go to Rotherham, pay your rent, get a goat. Anyway, you get my goat. I tell you, I'm going to read you a poem now. Are we ready? Are we sitting comfortably? This is about the movement to the Green movement. I seem to kind of sympathise with this as time passes. Anyway, this is a poem I wrote from my book. There we are, it's my book. One of my books, yeah. Flowers and Collected Poems by John G. Sutton. This is Rainbow Warrior. Are you sitting comfortably? Good, right. I'm a rainbow warrior, as green as they come, no chlorofluorocarbons perfume my bum. March to Aldermaston with CND, I support animal rights, just want to be free. I'm pro-conservation, anti-acid rain, a left-of-centre trendy with an over-simple brain. I'm going to save the planet, end nuclear fusion, throw the reds and the blues into utter confusion when the proletariat all vote green and the rainbow warrior rules supreme. You'll be eating veg from an organic farm, saving the whales wearing leaves to keep warm, making the world the place God planned when the rainbow warrior rules the land. We'll use no chemicals under the sun in our homes, fit for heroes, the battles all won. No greenhouse effect to blight our lives, but lots and lots and lots of flies. There you go. That was Tales from the Jails today. John G. Sutton. Do like and subscribe.